Hey guys, WildHeart here, and today we will do patch 14.20 rundown. Well, for me personally, there is not too much that I expect in this patch, but probably some nice Amumu nerfs. That's something I would expect, but yeah, Amumu nerfs are not going to happen yet. They're not going to happen yet. We got slight nerf in 14.19, but I don't think that was exactly what Amumu got to get nerfed. But yeah, let's check what this patch brings us. Low player days. League of Legends, a game that was built by all of you. The past 15 years have been an amazing journey, and we're so honored by all the ways you've shared your love for the game, sport, and each other. By starting today, we're celebrating all of you and the ways you made the game so much more we could hope for. Right, there are 10 total days of rewards for you to unlock. Play a game to complete a mission, mission to get a reward, you know the deal. Including the anniversary mythic skin. Also, that's mythic skin for anniversary, not bad. Not bad. And batch of you'll have until October 28th to grab them all. Just play one game each day or wait till the very last one. Play 10 games in a row. Just remember to stretch between matches. Here's a roadmap for all the goodies coming your way. Okay. I mean, given the fact that it's anniversary, they could have given more orange and blue essence, to be honest, but probably they just don't want to give too much. Probably. Timo is reworked. Oh wait, never mind, it's just visual and sound effects. Okay. Ready check penalty adjustments. Interesting, that's interesting. Last patch, some players received penalties that were too harsh for declining or missing the ready check due to a bug with the system. That's true. This bug was causing players to progress through the tiers of penalties far quicker than intended, leading to long queue suspensions even for minor offenses. During patch 14.19, we reduced the rate of which players were receiving more serious penalties for continuing to repeatedly decline ready checks while we work on a permanent fix. With patch 14.20, these issues should now be resolved as well as inappropriate penalties removed from accounts. The temporary hold on serious penalties for declining ready checks will be lifted with patch 14.21 and should return to function as intended. Our goal here is to prevent those repeatedly declining ready checks within short periods of time for nefarious purposes, not to penalize players who wanted to back out to pick up a friend or needed to step away for a moment. This system should now be functioning as intended, but if not, please report it and let us know. Okay. Ranked. Apex Duo MMR restrictions will be turned back on this patch. To support better service performance, ranked ladders will now be updated every 10 minutes. Wait, so now you promote from Master to GM and from GM to Challenger every 10 minutes? Or I'm wrong about it, I don't understand. Affilios. Plus 1 HP. Plus 3 bonus AD. But man, it's like 3 AD at late game. Are they serious? It's like half AD and it's barely scaling. Affilius was hurt by Collector's nerfs last patch and is indeed in need of some assistance. Not only is Collector getting some help, but Affilius is also getting some direct buff this patch to bring him up to snuff. Delivering a small mix of damage and rebuild to his early game while still maintaining him as late game carry. I mean, these buffs are not really something that helps him by any meaning. This will not influence his win rate by even 0.5%. Collector buff, yeah, probably. I didn't see it yet, but probably it will be better. But the Champions buff, nah, it's nothing. Caitlyn. Attack speed ratio is slightly increased. Damage to secondary targets is increased as well with Peacemaker. I mean, That's not quite that as well. Caitlyn isn't hitting her targets at the moment, and part of that driven by her lack of game plans. Yes, that's true, but that's simply not that. That's simply not that. Caitlyn, as a champion, she's quite alright. She's not weak, she's not strong, I would say. She's alright, but her main weakness is her item building path. Like, she doesn't have any optimal item building path because, let's say, the only way how she can be somewhat strong would be regular crit build, and you probably need to start with, I don't even know, with AE. Let me check what Caitlyn mains build, but like, probably they are starting with Kraken, and Kraken is complete dogshit for Caitlyn. Collector was dogshit as well. Okay, they start with Collector, and some Caitlyn mains are starting with Hubris. Hubris, yeah, it kinda makes sense if you're playing against squishy teams, but if you're playing against tanky comps, Hubris makes completely no sense, like, at all. Like, at all. It doesn't have sense at all. That's why IE into something like Runans, Phantom Dancer, Rapid Fire Cannon, anything sounds like a good plan, but that's the deal. IE is super expensive. It's like super expensive. While you'll be having IE as your first item, someone would probably have 1.5 items already. While you are still finishing IE, that doesn't really spike you too hard. Like, it helps you, but it doesn't really spike you too hard. That's why it's not really about Caitlyn. Like, if you're not planning to buff any of items Caitlyn can build, yeah, that's a solution to buff Caitlyn. But if you're not buffing Caitlyn too serious and not buffing items that she might use, then she will be fucked as well. But probably Collector buff will fix her somehow. Let's get to Collector buff to see how to be changed. Corki. Mana cost for Phosphorus Bomb is reduced by 20 and returned to 80 at level 9. I mean, that's a spell that you normally max. You can alternatively max in like melee matchups, but yeah, normally you max Q, so that's kind of a help. Not much, but early on that will definitely help, especially for early poke, especially in matchups where you're supposed to play aggressively. Valkyrie. Oh, it has a scaler now. That's cool. That's cool. That's a good buff. I mean, that's not a game changer at all, but that's a cool buff to have. But you probably have to play Corki as a kamikaze to make it work now, because how would you apply Valkyrie's damage unless enemy is chasing you? Kinda makes no sense to me. E has mana cost reduced up to 20 mana. I mean, once again, that's cool as Q, but that's not something game changing. But at the same time, it's very, like, I can get right why they balance him this way, because it's very difficult to make this champion balanced. He's not broken, he's not super strong. He's a decent champion, but he has its flaws, so you don't really want to overbuff it, because once you make this champion slightly overtuned, this champion is going to be pain in the ass, because in competitive, this champion is picked a lot. Not now particularly, but was picked a lot, yeah. Mundo. E bonus attack damage increase. That's a good nerf. Without checking the numbers, it's a good nerf, because his E was just a little bit too strong. I mean, it's not even that serious, isn't it? It's not even that serious, I think. It's like, yeah, it's a nerf, but it's not even that serious. But at the same time, you don't really want to nerf Mundo too hard, because I don't think champion is just broken. Like, he is okay. He is not weak, for sure. He is not broken either. Jhin, AD growth decreased, R damage decreased. That makes sense. That makes sense. Given the fact that Jhin was the only traditional ADC who have like one of the top win rates among other ADCs in last patch. Like, all other traditional ADCs were fucking gutted in last patch. Therefore, Jhin was like the only one who was kind of shining, if that makes sense, because other than Jhin, you didn't really have any ADC on top. You had mages and you had Yasuo on the top of win rates. Therefore, nerfing Jhin even slightly makes sense to me for sure. Also, very interesting way to nerf him. Like, AD growth is whatever, it's not that big of a deal because Jhin gets some really crazy numbers at the late game. But ulti minimum damage is very weird way to nerf it. Like, not scaling, not cooldown. Actual minimum damage. Lee Sin base AD increased 3D. Lee Sin was one of the champions hit hardest by this patch, and we're giving him some power back to get some pep back in his steps. We don't think his early game is strong enough considering how significantly he falls off even more so now. So we're buffing his clear and early skirmish to give him a stronger chances to solidify a lead. I mean, he was building Eclipse, and Eclipse is kinda over nerfed, I would say. But at the same time, I don't think Lee Sin as a champion needs a buff. I played Lee Sin myself like 2 or 3 games this patch, and it felt fairly decent. Like, it didn't feel any broken, but it felt alright. It didn't feel like the champion is weak. I mean, also 3 AD for such a strong champion early game is a massive buff. Like, it looks like only 3 AD. Yeah, it is only 3 AD, indeed. But for champion with these big early game impact, it can be a big problem even in pro play, especially in pro play, I would say. Mordekaiser, Q single target bonus damage decreased. I mean, yeah, probably it makes sense. Because Mordekaiser, unlike other pretty much any champions in the game, he doesn't really rely on items that much. He's very self-sufficient champion himself in terms of his damage, his durability, so he didn't really suffer that much from bruiser items nerfs. However, he was doing quite alright. I think I got stomped yesterday by Mordekaiser on mid lane because I was playing Diana. But yeah, I mean, with Mordekaiser, isolated Q damage, it kinda makes sense. I probably wouldn't nerf the damage itself. I would probably nerf the cooldown by like 1 second at least. But yeah, sure. Also, that's not that much. It's like only 10%, and only for isolation. So you probably wouldn't notice too much of a difference. Like, the damage would be about the same, pretty much. Nyla, E-cast time reduced. Honestly, I've played a couple of times with Nyla, not too many. I'm not Nyla main by any meaning, but I mean, it felt like it's instant to me, honestly. I never felt it has any cast time. Like, I never felt it. Pantheon, W damage increased. Pantheon buff? For real? Like, you buff Pantheon? I mean, Eclipse nerf as well, right? So it's just like plus 1% at each level of the spell, but but you don't max shield wall, don't you? As far as I know, you don't max it. I don't really get it. Like, you don't max W as far as I know, you max Q into E. So, I mean, it's still plus 1% at level 1, right? It's still plus 1%, and you get W usually at what, level 2? Or level 3? Probably level 2. Yeah, that's kinda weird, but yeah. I mean, I personally wouldn't buff this champion at all, but probably those people who play Pantheon, they suffer now because of Eclipse nerf. Poppy. This is a champion who I played a lot last split, and she needs a nerf badly. This champion is down bad broken. Like, cooldown on passive, I mean, that's mostly nerf for lane Poppy. For top lane, and she's not too broken on top lane. Like she's not weak. In certain cases, she's quite strong, I would say. Mm, but Poppy mainly needs nerf because of her jungle presence and mostly because of her support presence. As support, she was kinda broken last split. That's why I'm not sure why would you nerf her passive instead of nerfing her flat damage on Q, for example. Not against monsters, but against champions. And let's say nerf cooldown on E. That would work. Yeah, that would work. I mean, it's still slightly nerfed. Minus 10 damage, but it doesn't really solve the problem of Poppy. Alright, so the argument that with Poppy support is dealing too much damage with her Bloodsong into full tank build, considering she isn't option into any damage items. Benefit that build this patch by increasing the cooldown on her passive in a way that keeps it longer for her when going support. I mean, yes, she pokes with passive, but it also activates your Hail of Blades if you play Hail of Blades build, which is the one you usually go when you play Bloodsong. You rarely go Aftershock, you usually go Hail of Blades. Therefore, the passive is not even that strong. We're also reducing the damage on her E since support Poppy uses this a lot. That's true, along with some compensation for jungle since she is weaker there. Wait, for some compensation, but they're nerfing. Oh, they're buffing the Q. I mean, it's kinda whatever as far as I get it, because you normally get 1 point in E and max Q afterwards. It's kind of irrelevant at this point because your main damage source is Q anyway. Q, Bloodsong, auto attacks passive, like these things all together. So this like 10 damage on passive is not something game changing for Poppy whatsoever. Like, okay. Okay, Riven. This sounds quite brutal, I'm not gonna lie, like plus 30 level 1, plus 40 level 2, plus 50 level 3, plus 60 level 4. That's crazy, dude. Like, that's genuinely crazy. And plus 70 level 9. The flat damage change is massive. It's like actually massive, but now it scales of bonus AD, not the total AD. So you probably are going to be stronger when you purchase lots of AD. Probably that opens up a window to some like lethality Riven build, like Assassin Riven in a way, and kinda nerfs Bruiser build. But numbers look really scary. I didn't get to play against Riven yet this patch, but numbers indeed look scary. I'm not even sure if I want to let this champ being played and not to just permaban it, because it feels scary as fuck. Alright, Shyvana. And that's also one of the champions I love to play. And she's getting nerfed at every possible angle, but the nerfs, as I get it, shouldn't be too serious. Yeah, it's like wait, but they nerf movement speed on W. They nerf movement speed on W if you build AP. That sucks. It's not the end of the world, but that sucks. Yeah. That's not cool, but it is what it is, not the end of the world. E flat damage is nerfed as well. Minus 1 E damage each level. Minus 20 damage each level. Wait a second, not each level. From minus 20 damage. Okay, it's just minus 20 damage each level, scaling from 6 to 18. Still kinda sucks because that's like main damage source for Shyvana. Yet it's another tooltip from Riot. Guys, don't play AP Shyvana anymore. Play AD Shyvana. She's overpowered? What? Bro, you have Volibear, you have Viego, you have Wukong, and you say Shyvana is overpowered? I mean, she scales well, but that's it. Armor growth decreased. That's completely bullshit nerf. Like, no. No, you don't want to nerf his armor growth. Like, if you want to nerf Singed, you just flat his flat armor level 1, so it's harder for him to proxy. So it's more punishing for him, so he loses more HP level 1. But you don't want to nerf his armor growth. That's dog shit. I strongly disagree with this change. Alright, Skarner. Passive damage decreased, E damage decreased. It makes sense. It makes sense because Skarner won a lot with the changes of all the flat stats, and Heart still looks so well for Skarner. So yeah, anything that like pretty much any champion that scales of max HP became kinda stronger this patch. Tristana, E range increased. R range increased. I mean, I don't really care about ulti, but E range is cool. It's only 25 range, it's nothing about damage, but that actually sounds cool to me. It actually sounds cool to me. Tryndamere. Attack speed ratio increased, armor growth increased. Yeah. I mean, the champion just became weaker, I agree with it, yeah. Awakened Q and R damage to monsters decreased. E bonus movement speed decreased. God bless. I hate this champion. When someone plays Udyr well, like if they understand how to farm quickly, how to path, this champion is just AIDS to deal with. This champion has to be nerfed in all possible ways in terms of his jungle clear. Like on top lane, I think he is decent because his R is very annoying. His R is very annoying to deal with early on, but at the same time, I feel like he is not that strong on top lane. Like, yeah, he pokes, but that's it. That's it. But his clear is disgusting. His durability is disgusting. The complex of what this champion represents is disgusting. That's why this champion has to be destroyed in terms of his damage to monsters. And that's exactly what Riot do. They're not like completely destroying the champion, but they're sending a first sign that this champion is going to be changed sooner or later. Also, minus movement speed on E, which is cool too. Veigar, W damage decreased. I mean, Veigar is kinda strong on 80 now. Minus 10% CP skin. Ah, whatever guys, whatever. You can keep playing. It's honestly whatever. I mean, Veigar for mid lane, he was shitty, he is shitty. Veigar for ADC, he was great, he is great. So yeah. Yasuo, Q crit damage increased, R bonus armor penetration and crit increased. Critical strike damage now matches basic attack. Okay. Bonus armor penetration, critical strike. 60%. I mean, okay, makes sense. Critical strike damage, so they do kinda same thing. Kinda same thing as with Yasuo. Okay. ADC items. We are adjusting the first slot legendaries for many crit ADCs this patch. While we hit our goals for flatly nerfing everything last patch, we ended up shifting some items into spots where there was no reason to pick them. Yeah, or more like cheating than shifting. I don't know, I tried, like, I swear that I tried one game of Yuntal Wild Arrows. But this item is so shit, it's crazy. It's so expensive, and the bleeding thingy is so weak. Even for champions who are supposed to be good users of these items, like Twitch, with Runans, I feel like it has great potential with Yuntal in terms of concept. It's such a shitty item, it's crazy. I don't think there is a worse ADC item than Yuntal Valderos currently, but let's see what they patch. Essence River, -5 AD, -15 ability, -5 ability haste. Price reduced to 2900. That's fair deal. I feel like it's fair. Collector. -10 AD, but price is reduced drastically, almost 500. 450 to be accurate. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. But once again, they pretty much nerf the same amount of attack damage. The same amount of attack damage as they got with the price change. So it kind of makes up. So collector still sounds bad, but probably it's I'm not sure. Probably it's like the best option for the ADCs who need it. Static Shiv is nerfed. That's something I expected. I mean, -5 attack speed, not much, but something I could expect. Man, but why people build, like, unironically, why people build Static Shiv if this item gives attack speed on Jhin? Like, I do understand that Jhin is not the best champion in terms of, like, pushing the wave, but bro, this item gives attack speed. Attack speed is literally the stat that this champion is against in terms of its concept. Like, the concept of this champion is against building attack speed. I don't get it. Like, I genuinely don't get it. Alright, Yuntal Wild Arrows. Price reduced by 250, AD reduced by 5, straight edge damage 60. Dog shit. This item is dog shit, guys. As long as they don't bring some changes with the bleeding or how it is applied, because bleeding is like, just for you to understand, guys, bleeding from this item is not applied when you hit the enemy. If it would be about hitting the enemy and bleeding would apply, that would be a decent item, probably a goated item. But since it's only applied when you crit, it's a bad item. It's a fucking bad item. It's terrible as first option, while you would normally build this item as first option, and it doesn't sound any beneficial to build it as second item, because a second item for the majority of champions on ADC role, you would pick something that gives you attack speed and crit, something like Runan, like PD, like Fire Cannon, whatsoever. Lord Dominic's regards, Mortal Reminder in certain situations, anything. But how you can prefer Yuntal Balderos instead of, let's say, Navori for champions like Tristana or Lucian? How? That's the thing. This item is fucking dog shit. They have to rework this passive thing that way that it would be applied with the auto attacks, not with the crits of auto attacks. Maybe they should reduce the damage. I'm not sure about that, but maybe they should reduce the damage. It kind of makes sense if the bleeding has no cooldown. Or they should reduce the damage. That's also an option. Make it stackable, so bleeding stacks up to like 4 or 5 stacks, something like Twitch Poison. And let's say damage would be like 20 or 30 per stack. That makes sense given how expensive this item is. But what they do with the concept now is just terrible. It's like literally terrible. This item, like, dude, you introduced this item almost a year ago, and I've seen this item being built like maybe 1 or 2 times. And those 1 or 2 times were me building this item to test it. Whatever. Sorry guys, I'm just butthurt on this item. Fated Ashes. Damage per second to monsters is reduced to 20. Makes sense, this item is fucking broken. Same with Leandri. This item is also broken because AP junglers who can use it, like Lilia, are also broken. Not surprised. At the same time, they buff Luden's companion. Fire damage is buffed. Flat damage is buffed. AP skill is buffed. That's very strong. Holy shit, that's so cool. Repeated fire damage, 50% of initial damage, 20% of initial damage. So they nerf the stack damage, right? The stacks, right? Or what is repeated fire damage? Maximum single target damage is reduced though. So it's just balancing. Yeah, that's more like nerf and even not a balancing. Storm Surge ability power reduced, squall damage reduced. Yeah, it makes sense. This item had to be nerfed, that's for sure. But what I can tell you guys, this item is still good. It's still good because it has one of the best building paths. Because the best item for AP champions in terms of like its potential value, if the champion can use it, was Lichbane. But the Lichbane had terrible building paths because of Large Road, and it was very difficult to get this 1.2k early on before laning phase is done. But now, given the fact that you have this great item Storm Surge, and you can just buy cheap components for like 400, upgrading it into something bigger for like 700 in Alternator, and for 500 you could upgrade it into Ether Wisp. Anyways, it would be a win-win scenario for you to go Storm Surge over any other item. So yeah, it was a great option, and I think it's still a great option for those champions who can use it. Keep in mind, Storm Surge is not really the best option for ranged mages. I feel like it's kind of bad option for ranged mages, but I think it's a great option for melee assassins like Diana mid, Diana jungle, Fizz mid, Akali mid, like those AP champions who can burst and they need just a little more help to burst down the target. That's a great option. But for control mages and those who stay in range like Azir, Syndra, Xerath, Orianna, I would never go Storm Surge. Honestly, I would always go something like Ludens into Shadow Flame, or like Ludens into Rabadons whatsoever. Like any option would be better than Storm Surge in my mind. Thornmail. Flat damage is increased. Bonus armor skill is reduced. I mean, Thornmail was kinda broken. That's true. That's definitely true. However, it still sounds very good. The amount of armor you get, the amount of HP you get, thorns damage, sounds nice. This item sounds nice. Still. Runes, phase rush, range movement speed is increased early, reduced later on. Makes sense. Melee movement speed unchanged. Okay. Grasp, healing 3 plus 1.2% max health, 1.3% max health, breaks even, and 3k max health. Okay, max health per stack 7/4 for ranged. Now it's 5/3. Man, fucking Smolder. That's like literally the reason why Grasp is nerfed is Smolder, I'm pretty sure, for range champions. But also that's indeed a dominant rune on top lane, because I feel like there are no better alternatives than these for many cases. Like for example, if you play Laoi, why would you go anything but Grasp? Like seriously, why would you pick anything but Grasp? That's it. Nimbus Cloak. 12 to 35 based on summoner spells, 14 to 40. I mean, this rune is still nice. I don't really think it needs a buff. Pro players are still using it 24/7, so I don't really feel like this rune required any adjustment. It was just alright. Okay guys, we're done with patch 14.1. I feel like it was slightly bigger than I expected, but I guess it is what it is. It is what it is, guys. Can't say much about this patch yet. I have mixed feelings about the static changes. I hate Untal Wild Arrows changes. I like AP items changes at all. Like overall, it sounds smart to change those. But that's a common thingy. Like I have different data. I have different data to analyze from Riot Games, and I'm approaching it from my perspective, not from theirs. So maybe they see it from a different angle, not from one I have. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching, and see you next patch. Bye.